Welcome, everyone, to the Not Just Nursing Show. I am your host, Kara Severe. And as always, we love discussing the lives of nurses that do extraordinary things beyond the bedside. Today, we're going to talk to a cast member from the medically scripted drama RN Real Nurses, written by nurse Tamara D. Woods. Join me in welcoming Kim Huffstetler, who plays Nurse Gina on RN Real Nurses. Welcome, Kim, to the show.
Hi, Kara. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. We're so glad to have you as a guest on our show. So, Kim, tell our viewers where you're calling in from today.
I'm calling in from Gastonia, North Carolina, also known as the Gas House and G-Town.
Gastonia. Is there a story behind that name?
Well, Gastonia sounds like a stomach disorder, so a lot of the locals decided to start calling it the Gas House to soften that blow a little bit. So all the locals call it the Gas House.
It really sounds like a diagnosis, so
Yes,
thank
it
you.
does.
Thank you for sharing that. So, Kim, you have a very interesting story regarding how you entered the acting world. Can you tell us about that day, October 2013?
Sure. I was chatting online on social media, on Facebook, with one of my friends from school who happens to be in the film business. And he was working on a short film. Last minute needed a bunch of people to come be business members in the background. So he sent me a private message and said, "Hey, can you come?" And I was very apprehensive because I didn't have any film experience. And after a little bit of coaching and begging a little bit because they really needed people, um, he's told me that I would be fine. All I had to do was just do what the director told me to do. And, that I would portray whatever he told us to do,
Mhm.
and that I would be fine with my modeling experience as a teen. I knew the camera do's and don'ts, and he knew that I would be comfortable um, after giving me that little pat on the back. So I did. I went. I had a blast, and I'm still having fun.
I think that is really wonderful. Since that time, Kim, how many projects have you done?
I have completed 100 projects up to date from October 2013, and I'm blessed and grateful for each one of them.
I think it's simply wonderful. I know that you hear a lot that that's not the norm. I know
Yes, I do.
so definitely you are in a great position. I love how you just took that offering, was something that you didn't have experience with, but you said, you know what? Let me go ahead and try it. You know, you never know. And 100 projects later, here you are as a cast member on RN Real Nurses.
Yes, and never dreamed I would be where I'm at today,
Isn't that
especially
something?
in the film community. Yes, ma'am, it is.
That is something. So, Kim, I don't normally ask questions such as this one. However, I think it's really important for our viewers to get a understanding. Can you tell us your age?
I don't mind telling you my age at all. If I live till August, I will be 54 years old. That's over half of 100 years old.
Isn't
But
that
I've
something?
survived so far, and God is good. So I keep on keeping on.
That's right. So, we'll be really clear with our viewers. So, you started in 2013, so you were 48.
That's correct. 48 years old with my very first film project.
Absolutely. So, for all of the viewers out there who are thinking that you have to start when you were straight out of high school and you have to go to Los Angeles or even Atlanta, Kim started at 48. She is in Gastonia, North Carolina, and she now has 100 film projects under her belt. Some people who are in LA and Atlanta don't have that many projects, who are of, a younger quote unquote age number, don't even have those stats. So I just want to say to the viewers, and I'm sure Kim, you can echo, follow your dream at any age. It doesn't really matter. It's just a number. And if you listen and take heed to the clues in your environment, take those opportunities. You never know, right, Kim, where you can end up.
That's right. Go
Perfect.
with your heart.
Right. Kim, this is a medically scripted drama. Do you have any medical experiences?
I actually have a little bit of experience. I worked for a chiropractor several years and got used to wearing scrubs and just a tiny bit of the medical terminology, but that helped a whole lot with me feeling comfortable in the position of Nurse Gina because I have been in an office where, people do interact, so that did make it a little easier to do the part.
Absolutely. I was going to ask just what your methodology was for putting the character together.
Well, you basically, with each patient, you have a different person and a personality. So, a lot of the times, you just basically feed off of the patient. So, if you have a cranky patient, there's a different way you handle them versus you have a happy patient. So, you just kind of go with the flow and do the best that you can and hope it all works out in film.
And don't I know that personally about you go off the interview that that patient has, as of course, as a nurse myself, that's true when we get report from each other and we hear that a patient may be a potential challenge based on different things that have occurred. You go into that room like, okay, am I going to kind of be a little bit aloof? Is my guard going to be up, or am I going to just be open and rewarding and warm? So that's the reality of nursing. I mean, it is what it is. And that's true. We do have to kind of balance the energy between nurse and patient. So, my next question is going to be about thinking of Nurse Gina. She's hiding something, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
Mhm.
And if you watch real closely, you may pick up on some of the clues on episode one. But episode two is going to bring a lot of those secrets to surface. So you have to watch episode two to make sure you find that out.
Yes, I love how you are giving us the information of carefully looking at episode one because it's very important. And we got cut off, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going because everyone knows it's Skype, but it's okay. So I like how you mentioned, Kim, that if you look at episode one, you can get a little more insight into Nurse Gina and kind of what she's experiencing. There's a part of episode one where your character is at the pharmacy window. And I'm just going to be brief because I don't want to give everything away because it kind of pertains to something I want to ask you. And you were asking the pharmacist a question, and you actually were questioned by the pharmacist. And he said, okay, well, you're kind of coming here. There's a discrepancy in what you were asking him for. Do you kind of know what I'm talking about?
I do. I
Okay.
remember that very well.
Yes. So I want to give you a statistic just in case you didn't know. But according to Psychology Today, among nurses, about 10% of nurses actually experience alcohol and drug related issues while on the job as a nurse. Did you know that, Kim?
I knew that it was high. I didn't know the exact percentage, though.
Yes, yes. So, relatively speaking, somebody may say, oh, 10%, it's not a whole lot. But if you look at the number of nurses nationwide, I know that it's over 2 million. So, we do 10% of 2 million. That's kind of a larger number. And I wanted to just let nurses know who are listening, or if you know a nurse, just understand that there are in a lot of hospitals, in a lot of care settings, there are opportunities for nurses who are experiencing issues such as drug and alcohol related problems. There are programs that are set up where you can go into sort of a treatment program and not have your nurse's license be penalized. And I think that's really a great thing for nurses to know about and to understand and to, inform their colleagues about. So, whoever's out there viewing, if that's you or if that's someone that you know, just know that there is help that's available. So, I just wanted to share that information. So, Kim, your faith plays a huge role in who you are as a person. Is that right?
That is true. And I'm so glad you brought that up because faith is something that you are not born with. It's a choice, it's an acquired behavior. So, a lot of times you have to trust on what you know is true, and sometimes you have to trust on things that you're not sure of. So, My faith is very strong in my beliefs, and I have lots of stories to back those up. So, you know what you feel what you feel, and you're entitled to your own opinion. But yes, my faith is very strong, and a lot of things that I do and a lot of the decisions that I make are based on my faith.
Right. And it's done you well. Look at where you are today, you know? So
Yes.
I just say that it's working for you. So just continue to do that. And my question is about Nurse Gina. How did it feel portraying a character who put her faith in something other than, let's say, something spiritual? She's relying on something else to help her get through her day. How was that for you, portraying that sort of role?
Well, I was not born with faith. I
Hmm.
had to acquire that, like I said a few minutes ago. So in Nurse Gina's case, she doesn't have faith because that's not, in her background. So she just relies on what she has to make things work for her. And being overworked and stressed with long hours and accessibility, she takes along, you know, some of the things that she probably shouldn't have and makes a few bad choices. And that results in a lot of other things that happen in the role. Um, so with the faith issue, she doesn't have that. She only has what she can put her hands on tangibly to uh, keep her going.
Right. And I think that's very accurate, as you mentioned. We're all different people. And as I was reading your bio, I thought it was awesome how you stated we're all humans, we're not perfect. And that is really an interesting sentence to put in your bio. It just gave me insight into your openness and who you are as a person. And just being vulnerable to say, I wasn't born this way, I just grew into who I am with my faith. My faith helped to shape who I am. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And what did you learn about nurses and or the nursing field while playing Nurse Gina?
Well, first of all, I learned that they are totally awesome because they keep on keeping on when they're overworked, they're tired,
Mm-hmm.
they're irritable because of everyday life and things at home, and they still come into work and they still function. They
Right.
put a lot of that aside and put the patient first. So I totally gained a lot of respect for nurses because I had a little bit more hands on experience of what they go through and deal with working with this part.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, that's all that we want as nurses. We just want people to know that we are people too, and that we have issues just like everyone else. But you're right, Kim. We go into work, we get up very early in the morning to prepare for this 12-hour shift, 12-hour plus shift. And we go in to do the very best that we can do. And a lot of times, we really do feel unappreciated. We really feel like, wait a second, everything is on our shoulders, everything is pulling from us, but there's not a lot being given. There's not a lot of thank yous or appreciation. So I'm glad that you were able to pick up on that, and thank you for being in that kind of walking a mile in our shoes, so to speak, and sharing that experience.
Yes, ma'am. The
So,
pleasure was mine.
oh, absolutely. So, how has your church community reacted to your role as Nurse Gina? Do they know about this role?
Well, I have a lot of friends and family who really support me in a lot of the film projects. Then I have some friends who could care less.
Oh my.
So, but they are never negative. I always have a lot of support from family. And on the faith based projects, of course, I get a lot more encouragement and accolades for the faith based um, portion of what I do.
Mhm.
Um, so, yes, to answer your question, I get a lot of support. They don't know that much about real nurses except for when we posted the links to each one of the episodes. I'm sorry, each one of the parts to the episode.
Right.
So they're just getting a little taste of it.
Mhm.
Once we get it all online, it'll go smooth and they'll be able to see the real deal and then make the decision for themselves. But I hope they support me even after they see my acting.
Right. I was going to ask, so knowing that, as you said, it was more of a faith-based movie, that sort of thing, you feel like they would be a little more, I don't want to say interested, but look at it and kind of communicate a little bit more. How do you handle that? Knowing that faith is very important to you, but then also knowing that you have a church community that, like you said, they don't say anything negative, but it seems like it's not overwhelmingly like, oh, we're so proud of you, you're playing this role. Like, how do you balance that? How do you, feel support from that?
Well, I don't want to be so heavenly minded I'm no earthly good.
There we
And
go.
you can't be so faith based that you can't be real. And
Right.
with real nurses, even though it's not really tagged a faith based project, there will be things in there that you will see. If you just look for them, you'll see the faith based secrets in there and the way things are handled. Um, you also will find that life is not all hunky dory. So life has real happenings, it has sadness, it has despair and grief. And with those things, you have to just deal with them. Each person's different. So, with the personalities of Nurse Gina, she's really a sweet, loving character with all of her patients and her two girls that she has, and her husband, which she doesn't see very often. So with that, you don't really know if she's completely faith based or if it's just she's so tired that it just kind of got stuffed in there somewhere.
Right, right. I think you explained that very well, which is basically you just continue to be authentic, continue to follow your dreams, and those who will support you. Those who won't, they won't. But not to let that disturb who you are on the inside. You have to be authentic to yourself.
Yes. But
So,
we
yes.
love it when our fans and friends and family support us, though.
We do. We do. But like you said, the reality is that's not going to always be the case. And unfortunately, sometimes it's people who are closer to us that we feel we may not get, the support. But it's just a reality. And the beauty of it is when because I've been in that situation before where I was pursuing a dream and I felt like, wait a minute, these are people in my immediate family. I think I should be getting more, support or, more, I would say, support. I had to understand that I have a journey, and that doesn't mean that they have to go with me on the journey. Those who are supposed to be with me on the journey will be there and they will show up at the appointed time. So I learned that lesson, and since that time, have been able to understand people on a different level and to know that that should never interfere with what I'm here to do.
We always love it when we have a good vibe from our tribe.
Yes, I like that. Vibes, a good vibe from our tribe. I like that. So, Miss Kim, what advice would you give a young woman such as yourself? And I say young because that is how we feel. And we were talking about that before our interview. What advice would you give someone who says, you know what, I feel young, but this number is attached to me. This number is a stigma. I'm not in my 20s anymore, but I want to act. And they don't live in Atlanta. They don't even live in Gastonia. They don't live in LA. What advice would you give that person to go towards their goal of acting?
Well, first of all, you have to know that filmmakers have a script, which is a story. And in that story, they have all kinds of people, and they're not all young and vibrant and good looking and thin, So, because of that, you just know that when you start looking for those jobs, they're out there, but don't give up. You just keep looking, hold your head high because somebody's going to want that person that has the gray hair. Somebody's going to want that person that is a little bit bigger than the plus size. Somebody's going to want that person who looks like they've had a really hard life. So there's a job out there for each person out there who's looking for work. You just have to keep the faith. In my case, keep the faith. You have to, just keep hoping and searching and just keep working, and eventually it's going to open up and you will find it. And if you don't find it, somebody will find it for you because the film family and community is very, very small.
Mhm.
It's also very close knit. So a lot of people help a lot of people out. And because of that, once you get to know people, you'll be able to network with them. And if you're new, they're really happy to share their experiences with you because a lot of times on set, you're there for hours and hours and hours. So you get to know a lot about people. Sometimes a little too much, but we love people, and I love people, and because of that, I enjoy all my film friends, and I will be happy to help anybody with any questions that I may be able to answer. I don't know it all. I'm not there like some of the A-list actors, but I'm having a lot of fun in this community and have really developed some strong friendships out of it.
And with 100 film projects plus, 100 plus film projects under your belt, you definitely have some amazing advice for individuals who just want to get started. And if they want to continue that journey, how to stay motivated. So, to that end, Miss Kim, tell us where we can find you on social media.
Well, I have a Facebook page under my first and middle name, which is Kimberly Dawn. And I also have a work page that is under the name of actress Kimberly Dawn. And sometimes I have a lot of friends to ask me for help on their projects since we all help each other out. And a lot of times I will put casting calls for what I'm helping with on my work page. So if you want to follow actress Kimberly Dawn, then you'll be able to see those casting calls as I get them when they ask for my help.
Perfect. We thank you so much for sharing that very important information. Miss Kim, thank you so very much for being a guest on the Not Just Nursing Show. We look forward to seeing you in episode 2 as Nurse Gina. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're
Thank you.
so welcome. You're so welcome. We'll see you next time on the Not Just Nursing Show.
Okay, great. Peace out.
Peace.